Hello everyone, Shroomraver here, and welcome back to the Nickname Academy, the series where I'm going to be taking every single Pokemon from Bulbasaur right the way through to Calyrex and give them all nicknames, and when future generations come out, we're going to do them as well. Yes, indeed. Now, today is the final video on Gen 4. Once we're done with this, we'll be done with Gen 4 and we'll be about halfway through the series as it stands, certainly based on generations. Very exciting stuff. We're doing the final Pokemon who evolve from previous generation introduced Pokemon, then we're on to the mythicals and the legends, and then we'll be done with Gen 4. Fantastic stuff, so without any ado whatsoever, let's crack right on with it. We left off last time with Mamoswine, so let's get into today's first Pokemon. That's going to be Porygon-Z. Porygon-Z is going to be called Malcolm, named after Dr. Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park, of course, played by Jeff Goldblum. Now, why is this? Well, we're basing this on one of his most famous quotations from the movie, whereby he says, your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should. Referring, of course, to the creation of the dinosaurs, the bringing them back to life. They wanted to do it so much that no one stopped to think, should we be doing this? And that's kind of applicable to the creation of PZ as well, it was created from P2, don't know why they'd do that, P2 is amazing, but they created it from P2, excuse me, not thinking about whether or not they should do it, and then of course it turns into this virus Pokemon, which maybe shouldn't have been created in the first place, so that's why it's based off Dr. Malcolm's quotation, so PZ is going to be named Malcolm. After PZ, we have Gallade. Gallade is going to be called Wesley, named after that swordsman from The Princess Bride, the one who looks a bit like Zorro. He's got the black mask and the bandana and all that stuff. The reason for this is, in the Pokédex, it says of Gallade that it is, quote, a master of courtesy and swordsmanship, which is exactly what Wesley was in the movie. He was an excellent swordsman, as Inigo Montoya said himself, and he was very courteous, he was very well-mannered. They waited for each other to be ready to duel before they did, and then he left him alive because he didn't want to kill him, etc, etc. Basically, Wesley and Gallade very similar in that regard, not just because they're swordsmen, but because of their personalities. And this is going to work for the Mega as well, no real need to change it. I was thinking about maybe going with something about a cape, because Gallade has a cape now, but in the end I thought, no, it'll work well enough just using Wesley for the Mega as well. So, after Gallade we have Probopass, and Probopass is going to be named Google Maps. Why on earth would we name Probopass Google Maps? Well, Probopass, of course, evolves from Nosepass. Nosepass, of course, is based on a compass. And Google Maps is essentially the evolution of the compass. We don't use compasses to go around and navigate anymore. We just go on the phone, click into Google Maps, it tells us where we need to go. So Google Maps is essentially the evolution of the compass, in the same way as Probopass is the evolution of Nosepass. So Probopass will be Google Maps for that reason. Next up, we have Dusknoir, and Dusknoir is going to be nicknamed Forearm. Reason for this, in the Dex it says of Dusknoir that it is the Gripper Pokemon. Not really sure what that's supposed to mean, I get it has like big hands and stuff, but yeah, it's the Gripper Pokemon for whatever reason. So we're going to look at what a Gripper is. A Gripper is a workout tool. It's that one that you sort of hold in your hand, and it's got the two sort of sides and a spring in between, you sort of squeeze it together. It's a workout tool for forearm muscles, which is exactly why Dusknoir is going to be called Forearm, because Dusknoir is effectively a Gripper, as the Dex says of it. So it's going to be used to train forearms. Dusknoir, Forearm, Gripper, done. Following Dusknoir, we have the last Pokemon to evolve from a Pokemon introduced in a different generation. We have Frostlass. Frostlass is going to be called Skimono, because it looks like it's wearing a kimono, but it's an ice type. We just take skiing, you ski in snowy and icy conditions. We take ski, we take kimono, we squish them together to get Skimono for Frostlass. Next up, we have the final non-mythical or legendary Pokemon. It didn't come from a Pokemon in a previous generation. We have Rotom. Rotom is going to be called INZAPTION. Reason for this is, to me, Rotom has always looked like the dreidel from Inception. The one that Leonardo DiCaprio spins to make sure he knows whether he's in a dream or if he's in reality. And Rotom looks like a dreidel to me, but it's an electric type. So we take Inception, the movie from which the dreidel is, and we just put a zap in there because it's an electric type, so it becomes INZAPTION. Lovely. Now, this isn't going to work for the alternative forms. The alternative forms don't look like a Dreidel anymore. The Dreidel has taken over the appliances. So the alternative forms are going to be called Overdrive. Now, this has nothing really to do with electricity per se, but it's actually the name of a 1986 Stephen King movie. Maximum Overdrive is the name. And the basic premise of this movie is that appliances get possessed. The various appliances, I think it actually extends to cars as well, but various electrical appliances get possessed and they start attacking people. And of course Rotom is known for possessing appliances and using that to form its offense. So yeah, the alternative forms of Rotom all going to be named Overdrive. Now we can get on to the mythicals, the legendaries, all that good stuff, and we start off with my favourite legendary of all time. We have Uxie. Uxie is going to be named Pink Floyd. The reason for this is from one of Pink Floyd's most well-known songs, The Wall. You know, that whole we don't need no education, brick in the wall, all that good stuff. Uxie is a wall, it's just the wall, like base 135 defenses or something ridiculous like that, 95 HP. It's a wall, I love using it for that reason. Pink Floyd had a song called The Wall, so Uxie will be called Pink Floyd. After Uxie, we have Mesprit. Mesprit is going to be named Morrison, and this is named after Jill Morrison. You may not know who that is. She's an actress. Not maybe the most well-known of actresses in the world, but you would know her from the movie she's known for. She is an actress in Mean Girls, and she is that one girl who has that line, I just have a lot of feelings, you know, before the whole, she doesn't even go here. So she's the one who says she just has a lot of feelings, and Mesprit is the being of emotion. So Mesprit has a lot of feelings as well, so does this character, so Mesprit is going to be named after the actress, she's going to be called Morrison. The final member of the Lake Trio is Azelf, and Azelf is going to be called Penske. So this is an IndyCar team. Penske is an IndyCar team from years back. Had a driver whose name is Will Power. Now, the reason we're going to be naming Azelf this is because Azelf is the bringer of willpower. And I had to Google anyone vaguely famous who was called Will Power, and this is the first one that came up. He's a IndyCar driver and drives for the Penske IndyCar team, so Azelf will be called Penske. Next up, we have Dialga, and yeah, okay, this is the only one, I promise, with the most obvious nickname. It's called TARDIS. Sometimes the obvious ones are obvious because they work. Yes, it's a big blue thing. Yes, it controls time. It can go backwards and forwards in time like the TARDIS. I know, it's basic, and it's I feel weak for doing this because it's such an obvious nickname, but I struggled with Dialga for ages and I couldn't think of anything. And TARDIS is just perfect. It's made for Dialga, so yeah, Dialga's going to be called TARDIS. It gets better, I promise, because next up we have Palkia. Now this is a good one. Palkia is going to be called Unformat. Now why is this? Well, much as Dialga is the Pokemon that controls time, Palkia controls space. Now if you're writing on a Word document, as I have my nicknames up on Word now, if you click Control and Space is the keyboard shortcut for removing text formatting in Word, so it unformats things. So Control Space unformats things, and Palkia controls space. So that's why it's called Unformat, because of the keyboard shortcut in Microsoft Word. Way better than TARDIS, in my personal humble opinion. So moving on, as I scroll down my list, we have Heatran. Heatran is going to be called the Mechanist, and this is once again another Avatar The Last Airbender reference. I love putting these in my nicknames. Why is it called the Mechanist? Who is the Mechanist? Well, the Mechanist in Avatar The Last Airbender, he is an Earth Nation inventor, and he's kind of almost taken captive, hostage, or whatever. He's brought into the employ of the Fire Nation to create vehicles for them, for their war. So he's an Earth Nation inventor. He creates metal vehicles for the Fire Nation. He is a worker of metal and a worker of fire, and Heatran is a fire and steel type. Perfectly made for the Mechanist. There we go, Heatran's name. Now, okay, right. Next up we have Regigigas. Now, we have a bit of a weird one here. It's called DEC. And there's a lot of explanation going into this for a very simple reason. DEC stands for Digital Equipment Corporation. What on earth is the Digital Equipment Corporation? Well, I will tell you. The Digital Equipment Corporation created Regis, which is capital R, small e, capital G, capital I, capital S. This stands for the Remote Graphic Instruction Set. It's a vector graphics markup language, apparently. Now, I've researched this. I have no idea what a vector graphics markup language is. I have no idea, but that doesn't matter. We don't need to know the reasons behind the reasons for the nicknames. We just need to know the reasons for them. We don't need to know where that came from. We don't need to know why it means what it means. It's just important that we get the nickname. So yes, DEC, Digital Equipment Corporation's created this markup language called Regis. And Regigigas created the Regis. Regis and Regis are spelled the same. It says it in the decks, it created the Regis. DEC created Regis, so Regigigas is going to be called DEC. This is what happens with my nicknames sometimes. I go into massive detail and I don't understand what I'm saying. I don't understand what I've researched, but it's good enough for the name, so it's good enough for me. So there we go, Regigigas DEC. A much simpler nickname now, we have Giratina. Giratina is going to be called XA. Named after X-Ambassadors, which is a musical group stylized themselves as XA, known for the song Renegades, and Giratina in the decks is known as the Renegade Pokemon. So there we go, Giratina XA, very simple. This works for the other form as well, by the way. No reason to really change it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. There's no real particular difference between the forms that would make me go to a different nickname. So yeah, all Giratina form is going to be XA for me. We have our third abbreviation in a row as we get to Cresselia next, who is going to be nicknamed BFG. This stands for the Big Friendly Giant, which is a story written by Roald Dahl. Now, the BFG, the Big Friendly Giant in Roald Dahl's story, his whole thing is he's this big friendly giant, that's what he is. But he gives good dreams to kids. It's kind of his thing. He's kind of like the Sandman in a way, but he gives good dreams to kids. And Cresselia does exactly the same to people with its feathers. That's kind of what it does. It gives good dreams to people, exactly like the BFG does. So Cresselia is going to be called BFG. Thankfully, we're moving away from abbreviations now as we get to Phione. Phione is going to be called EYETRACKER. Reason for this is EYETRACKER is an iPhone app, apparently. I don't have it, but again, my research has led me here. And the symbol is an eye. So why does this, why are we calling Phione EYETRACKER based on that? Well, basically, what this app is, for many reasons, both the symbol being an eye, it's an eye in your phone. And Phione is literally spelt phone with an eye in it. So it's exactly the same. That's exactly why it's going to be EYETRACKER, because it's an eye in phone. Phione. Lovely. Phione doesn't evolve into Manaphy, but Manaphy can give you the Phione egg. Manaphy is up next, and Manaphy is going to be called GRINGOTTS. GRINGOTTS, the wizard bank. Ain't no safer place than Gringotts, as Hagrid once said to Harry Potter. Yes, Gringotts is the wizard bank in Harry Potter. It's where you get your money for all your magical supplies. So basically it helps you pay for magic. Gives you a mana fee. A fee being what you pay, mana being another word for magic, mana fee, magical money, mana fee, Gringotts. It's where you get your mana fee. Lovely. Gringotts for mana fee. Up next we have Darkrai. Darkrai is going to be called Pumpernickel. Very simple reason for this. Pumpernickel is a dark rye bread. Darkrai. Done. It's a German bread. Actually, it's one of the very few breads I don't like. I love bread. Bread is a great food. But Pumpernickel, not my cup of tea. Or my loaf of bread. But yeah, Pumpernickel is a dark rye, and the Pokemon is called Darkrai, so Darkrai will be Pumpernickel. The penultimate Pokemon to look at here is going to be Shaymin. Shaymin is going to be called Unella. Unella is a character in Game of Thrones. She is a scepter in Game of Thrones. She's that one who works for the High Sparrow. And she's the one who walks behind the Queen, Cersei, when she's doing her sort of Walk of Shame atonement, kind of Walk of Atonement, not Walk of Shame, that's a different thing altogether, the Walk of Atonement. She walks behind with the bell ringing, going, shame, shame, shame. So effectively, Unella is someone who was shaming. She was shaming her. So yeah, Shaymin gonna be Unella, because she is shaming her. And this can work for the Sky form as well. It's based on the name. There's nothing physical representation about it. So if it's a name-based one, we're gonna go with the same one. Lovely. And so we've arrived at the final Pokemon from Generation 4, the god of Pokemon. It's Arceus, or Arceus. Arceus? I'm going to say Arceus. Let me know in the comments what you say. It's one of those ones that I think both pronunciations are fine, but people are divided on which one is the one to say. I'm going to say Arceus. Arceus is going to be called Restaurant, which is a little bit of an understatement of a name for a god, but we're going to call it Restaurants because restaurants need plates. And Arceus changed its form using plates. So the silliest name, Arceus, is going to be called Restaurant. And that, ladies and gentlemen, will bring us not only to the end of the video, but to the end of Generation 4 entirely. We've done it, we've got halfway there. Fantastic stuff. Thank you all very much for watching. I do hope that you've enjoyed. Next time, we're going to be getting on to Gen 5, the biggest of the generations. 156 Pokemon to nickname in Generation 5. I still need to finish off doing the slides for them, so it could be a little while before we get there, but get there we shall. Yeah, it's kind of ironic that Mamoswine is in the previous generation, because this one is a mammoth undertaking. Haha, I'm hilarious. But yes, we'll get onto that next time. Yeah, let me know what you think of these nicknames, and also put nicknames down in the comment section below. I love seeing what names you guys come up with for your Pokemon, so put them down in the comment section what you name these Pokemon, and remember, every Pokemon deserves a nickname, so make sure you give them one. But I'm getting out of here, I've rambled on far too long, so my final thank you to you all for watching, and I guess with that, I'll see you next time. Laters.